Continuiamo a parlare di innovazione a livello globale con un panel che vedrà su questo palco più ecosistemi internazionali, quindi io chiamo sul palco Pablo García, Coelius e Giuseppe Oppedisano e il moderatore Shaun Senders. Arrivano? Prego, prego. Buon pomeriggio, ciao.
How you doing? Good to see everybody.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Mancano i panelist? Qualche momento. Prego, prego, prego. Un applauso. Io direi vi lascio.
Oh, we this one?
No, qui.
I didn't know if we're getting comfy on the couch.
Over there.
Yeah,
over
that's
there.
probably. I mean, it's up to you guys. I get my own chair.
The stage is
That's
yours.
true.
Bye-bye.
All right. Good to see everybody today. Let's dive on into it. So my first question, I gotta know, to Giuseppe, as I look into the audience, so we got thousands of people here. We have a sea of innovation, some of the coolest tech I've seen, drone soccer. How do you and your team do it? How do you make such an energetic, vibrant, successful innovation ecosystem?
So, Shaun, I guess when you talk about community and ecosystem, it's a lot to do with diversity, okay, to be inclusive. And I think in our DNA, there was always, we look at technology innovation as a means to build up a better future, to impact society, but we share always a core value with people on impact society, okay? So we were diverse, inclusive as a community because we had always a bottom-up approach, but we value a lot the fact that it's human leading innovation, okay? So relationship and foster discussion, okay? Having different overview and perspective on a specific topic makes the community grow. And it's a lot to do with alignment, vision. Okay. And you can enforce that if you talk with your community, okay?
Yeah.
I remember regarding entrepreneurship and innovation, when we did the first pitch competition, people look at us and say, why you're doing that? The event,
Yeah.
We were 200 attendees.
Yeah.
Now it's a total different story. And now in the last 24 months, we've been in 24 countries, connecting our ecosystem with national and regional level ecosystem. But we always have the same vision regarding what ecosystem should be and what is our impact for society. So I guess this it's the real adding value, core value for WMF.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it seems to be working out. I think everybody's having a lot of fun. And the next question for our next panelist, Zach, you have a lot of investments, not only personally through your fund, but you have, I saw, a angel list syndication fund with like 1,900 LPs. How does that, I mean, from around the world, you're working with investors, looking at all different types of deals. How does that diversity help drive some of the deals you're seeing and some of the investments that you're making?
Yeah, first of all, thank you to the organizers for a great event. It's great to be here. It's great to see this amazing crowd. The warm-up act was awesome. That was cool. You know, I think one of the greatest things about innovation and technology is that it is truly the weird and crazy ideas that end up being the biggest outcomes. It's the things that just seem impossible, the things that seem crazy that end up turning into the companies that change the world. And I think one of the fun parts about our job is that we constantly have to push ourselves to be at the edges of weirdness, at the edges of coolness, at the edges of rationality. And having a group of people around to help with that process and a community is just so powerful in that. Both to point out when you're being stupid, my LPs are very good at that, at pointing out when I'm being stupid, and also pushing to do more, to be more on the edge. And that's one of my favorite parts about my job.
All right. Do you ever see little pockets, like a new deal comes out from one of your international groups, and you're like, I've never heard of that before. That's something.
That's why I'm here. I mean, literally,
All right,
you can sit in the echo chamber of Silicon Valley, and
Yeah.
you can go to the same parties, you can hang out with the same people, and you can hear the same stories over and over and over again. And it's very powerful. Silicon Valley is a magical place, but like the real innovations are not happening in the echo chambers. They're happening in other parts of the world and with other entrepreneurs who have new ideas. And that's what I'm most excited about.
Very cool. Thank you. Next up, Alicia. So I'm hoping we get back to a second question because I love your background. In 2019, you talked at your TEDx talk about your background as an Army veteran, your focus in vet-owned types of startups, and just your amazingly diverse background and how you, I guess the question is, how does that port over into your role at LG Nova in trying to identify new types of deals and evaluate new types of deals, given your unique background?
Yes, so thank you so much for that question, and of course for having me as well. I think when it comes to translating my military experience, I was in the US Army for 6 years, and my job there was actually building ecosystems and communities of trust, and that's a lot of what I do at LG Nova is how do we build innovative ecosystems. And Giuseppe, you said it, in order to have a truly successful, innovative ecosystem, it comes from diversity, it comes from collaboration, it comes from bringing people together from different backgrounds and different points of view. And that's a lot of what the military taught me. You have people from all over the world, from various backgrounds, various points of view, who have to come together and agree on a common goal and work together towards that thing. And I think that at the core is ecosystem building at its finest. I think another great thing about the military is that it really teaches you operational excellence. And in order to truly be successful as a startup or just really at anything is understanding how to operationalize what you do and do it really well, learning how to communicate, being a good leader, all of these things are rare grit is something I talk about all the time, but all of these things go into what we look for in ecosystem partners, but also what we look for in our startup deal flow. And so when I left the military, I was part of a group called Bunker Labs, which is an accelerator for military veterans as entrepreneurs. And we saw overwhelmingly that military veterans make really incredible entrepreneurs. And what we found, it's because they had that shared interest of, if you're building anything, you have to believe in something bigger than yourself. And that's a lot of what the military teaches you, to believe in something greater than who you are. And I believe that anybody who's in this innovative ecosystem, they have to believe in what they're building is bigger than who they are as an individual, but that together as a collective, we can accomplish that great big goal.
Okay, makes total sense. I see how that ports over. Next up, Pablo. I'm going to hand the mic over to you. So if you've walked the floor today, you might have seen at least one AI company. They seem to be popping up everywhere. Yeah. AI, it's changed. It's changed how we communicate. It undoubtedly is going to open a lot of opportunities for clients and customers at Telefonica. Tell me about how does that change your evaluation of startups? What do you look for in AI companies, feature-wise, value-wise? What excites you?
Okay, so we, as a corporate venture capital fund, we've been investing in startups for 13 years right now. So we've seen the born of many different types of technology in the market, such as big data, virtual reality, IoT, and right now, artificial intelligence. And of course, it's a whole new level in terms of disruption in the market, artificial intelligence, comparing it to the previous new technologies that were born 10 years ago. But the way we analyze the new opportunities of investment is with being careful, because when a new technology comes out in the market and a bunch of new startups try to tackle a lot of problems using that new technology, and that causes a hype that raises the valuation in most of the, not only in those startups, but in the market. So with the same amount of money, you get less less shares, right? And you need to try to find those startups that are not just technology wrappers, that are truly developing artificial intelligence internally, so we can bring value to our customers, that is Telefónica and our final customers. So we try to do it in that way, try to be careful and try to identify those startups with real value. For example, to give you an example of one startup that I like a lot that uses artificial intelligence is iDobin. We invested in iDobin 2 years ago. These guys were developing the model, an internal model that analyze cardiovascular data with that they got from the hospital. So the data is on developed model and trained model with that. So they use artificial intelligence to analyze that data and to analyze your heartbeat. That it could be recorded with a wearable, and try to figure out where are you going to have food and disease in the future based on your history.
What I love about that example, this wasn't prepared. It's a small ecosystem. iCardio was one of the companies I mentored at Techstars back in LA. So it's exciting to hear that they're one of your favorites. I'll have to let them know.
Same problem.
AI, a lot of weird tech. I'm going to jump back to Zach. On your website, very prominently, we like weird businesses or weird companies. What does weird mean? And then is there a trend in weird that you're seeing?
Yes, I think weird starts with expressing something that just feels impossible, but is actually achievable. So for instance, one of the first companies I invested in is a company called Cruise Automation, self-driving car company. So in the US every year, 40,000 people a year are killed by cars. Same thing in every other country in the world. Just a huge number of people slaughtered by automobiles. And the great thing is that will end, and it will end soon. Like literally in San Francisco today, you can get in a robot car, drive all over the city, and there's no driver, and it feels safer, it drives better, and it's like preferred over an Uber. And so like you look at that, and you can just dream of that happening all across the ecosystem, not just in cars, but in airplanes, in every other way that human beings, when they operate things like cars, hurt other people, is going to end. So that's what I get excited about. It's like when you see stuff like that, and you can change the world.
Okay, it totally makes sense. Like weird's kind of fun of this game. We get to see what's coming down the pipe, what's shifting our view. I totally get it. Jumping back to Alicia. So another one of your initiatives is the Dear Mama Fund. And we're talking backstage about it. What's interesting to me about investing in initiatives that try to make the community better, trying to find those who are underrepresented, is that as emotionally it makes a big difference. It's great, but one of the things that I know investors I work with struggle with is how do you find something that actually makes an impact that also has an investor ROI component to it? How do you deal with that? How do you handle sifting out impact with actual ROI as an investor?
Yeah, this is a really good question, and I feel like is a very common debate, is how can you invest in something that makes a difference but also generate a significant return? And oftentimes, impact is seen as a dirty word where it's like, okay, well, is that charity? Are we going to make money? But then that feels bad. It feels awful, not seeming like you don't care. I just want to say with Dear Mama Ventures, that fund actually came from a letter. I lost my mother very tragically to domestic violence about 6 years ago, and when that happened, my whole life was changed. And now that I look back at it, even though that was a tragic moment, it was changed for the better. And so when I think about that mission, it was Dear Mama comes from a letter I wrote to my mom as a promise that I feel like my purpose in life is to create this ecosystem where people can show up and be weird and have the opportunity to succeed. And I'll bring this back to LG Nova again, because LG Nova, for those of you who don't know, is the North American innovation arm of LG Electronics. And while that is a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, with LG Nova, LG, first of all, stands for Life's Good, and we're very bullish, and we wholeheartedly believe that the work that we do should impact the community around us in a meaningful way. And we have a few areas that we focus on, which is AI, just like everyone else, AI in future tech, clean tech, and in digital health. And we look at those categories and say, how can we solve some of the biggest problems that are facing communities today in those sectors? And while we're making a difference, also have the goal of building and investing in billion-dollar companies. So I believe that you can do well and do good at the same time. It's just a matter, I think, of finding founders and finding companies with a weird enough mission who are like, how do we go after something that's seemingly impossible, find the people that we can have around us that are our champions, that are early investors, that are believers, that can give us the gas that we need to take this thing all the way to the end, and have that audacity to dream big enough to actually solve those problems that make the world around them better.
Very cool, very cool. As we're heading into a last question, Pablo, I'd like to dig more into your role at WERA. You operate in 9 countries in both Europe and Latin America. Is there any pattern that you've seen in terms of problems being solved by European entrepreneurs, problems being solved by Latin American entrepreneurs? Where are they different? Where are they the same, is my question.
Yeah, we've been investing for more than 10 years in Latin America and in Europe, 9 countries, and we find that, of course, the markets are different in terms of maturity and size, but the problems that people are trying to solve are almost the same in any country. People are trying to use the latest technologies available in the market to solve everyday problems and other people's problems. So yeah, we see right now that artificial intelligence has just flooded the market, and everyone is trying to use artificial intelligence to solve everyday problems. And yeah, I think it's great. There's almost no difference between
Very cool. But a world full of entrepreneurs solving problems. All right, well, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Give it a hand to everybody here. Really appreciate it. Take care of it.